Do you often think that if we could get in touch with the wisdom of tribal elders, the inherent knowledge of indigenous people, we could reform our advanced technological cultures? I do. And so does James McLeary, a fantastic teacher, psychologist, wisdom tradition holder and elder who I spoke with on my podcast Under the Skin. You're going to love James McLeary. If you ain't seen his film The Work, which is on like Amazon, you can get it on, where he goes in a prison, does group therapy with a lot of lifers. It's an amazing documentary where you see men dealing with serious trauma in an open way. He's got wisdom to convey, this guy. I'm really, really excited to share this conversation with you. It was on my podcast Under the Skin. If you want to get the rest of it, go and subscribe to Luminary, where all my content is held. It's fantastic stuff. It's worth the small investment required here, but if you can't afford that, I don't want to do it. Just enjoy this fantastic conversation where James McLeary, well, let me tell you some of the stuff he talks about. Jung shadow work, brilliant. The indigenous healing capacity that perhaps many of us have, and talking about inner demonic forces that all of us can surely learn how to tackle. Stay to the end because I've got more information. What do you think we can extrapolate from that and the possible application of these ideas into broader and bigger contexts?
Well, I don't know if this is going to translate, and it's my own interpretation, but there is this exquisite sense of neutrality around right and wrong. And so the best way for me to explain it is, if you had a football field, at the 50-yard line is nothing's going on. Everything is cool. If you step one toe over that 50-yard line, you're in the zone of medicine. You're in the zone of being selfless. If you take one step on the other side, you're in the zone of being selfish, right? So all thoughts, the organization of all behavior is towards how does it benefit me, right? And that's what Jung called it the shadow. We call it shadow, we call it poison, right? And you can be within 10 yards of either of the 50-yard lines and be pretty balanced, right? But if you start going past the 40-yard line on the selfless side, you begin to enable or become a martyr, because you're giving too much away, right? You're being too selfless. If you step the other way, because within the 10-yard on the selfish side, or the me side, there's a primal order to survive. So if you kill somebody in self-defense, there is no right and wrong there. That's just what had to be done. But if you're doing it without that sacred primal directive, and it's just about getting what you want, you become narcissistic, right? And a bully. So that's kind of the neutrality of it. And everybody can spot when they step over those lines. And if they can, it's because they're so habitualized in it that they become unconscious to it. And that's what this work is about, is getting conscious to where you are in that football field of selfless or selfish. And then being more conscious about those two things. Because I'm not a pacifist. I will kick your ass if it's necessary, right? But it has to be necessary. It can't be for something I'm looking to get and feel and sense. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, in a sense, like, I suppose it feels like you're talking about a type of fidelity and a type of, as if there is a universal frequency, as if there is a way that we can all have recourse to. And sort of almost in intellectual and academic circles at the moment, there's a sort of a trend towards sort of post-structuralist, oh, well, there is no oneness, there is no universal, there is no right or wrong, this kind of like post-modern morass. And I think many people that are like, I'm bang into the Jung and the Joseph Campbell, and I need something that I can that makes sense to me, that helps me understand my small self and my large self, and I need a connection to the world. But one of the things that I note is that in academic and intellectual circles, a lot of these ideas are sort of dismissed as, I don't know, arcane, and that elsewhere people's emotional and primal drives are all predicated on consumerism and various forms of pornography and objectification. The sacred is lost. Do you think that these kind of ideas can be revivified, revitalized, and can change the course of humanity?
I definitely do. I mean, I sent Charlie a clip of a lecture. I do lectures that I did for Eddie Casey Foundation, which is a huge philanthropic organization dedicated to supporting disadvantaged children. And one of their objectives is to reduce or to close all juvenile detention centers in the United States. And I work with the senior analyst on how to do that. And we're actually in a couple of facilities in the States. So at that meeting, there was about 1,000 people there who were involved in the criminal justice system: judges, DAs, forensic psychologists and psychiatrists, directors of prisons. They were all there. And I talked about the 4 tenets of just healing trauma, which are very simple, but in a skinny minute, I can point to some kind of academic evidence-based cognitive behavioral, rationale for it, right? And so, I mean, like reality testing, that's a bona fide way to look at things when you're trying to get people to see things correctly. Is it true, right? But I also throw in the people human way, which is the indigenous way, really, of how do you communicate? Is it true to an individual, and what tone of voice do you need to use, and how do you need to present yourself so that they're really interested in it, versus tell me so I can tell you what's wrong with you. Because one of the things we do not do is give advice, right? We believe everybody knows how to heal themselves. And we just close off every exit that people are trying to avoid doing that. That's basically what the work is. We close off that exit. You have to turn around and retrace steps or find another way. And we do it through open-ended, honest questions that we see in your body. Because we call, when the body gives off a signal, we call it a truth response. How many people look at you and they're angry, they got their fist balled, and you say, "Hey, are you angry?" "No, I'm not angry." Well, they may not really cognitively understand that realize they are angry, but they are angry, right? And when somebody's angry and doesn't know it, that's a dangerous person to me, right? And it's the same thing with, "Hey, you're going to pick me up at 7, Russell?" And you're going, "Yeah, I'll be there at 7. Unconsciously, I'm looking at you and going, "Damn, I don't think he's made a commitment to pick me up at 7. And it's 10 below, and it's cold out there. I don't want to be waiting on the corner with his ambivalence," right? So we just note that. You're saying this. Why are you shaking your head no? Or you say you're not angry? Why is your fist balled up? Right? Help me understand that. You get ready to hit me, right? And so now the person has to address that, because it's an honest inquiry.
This problem of unconsciousness is something that I feel like that the 12-step program is or perhaps any spiritual technique is about bringing people from a state of unawareness to awareness, a kind of personal awakening. What after you described the early stages, initially the call, which the intention and the attendance, the descent, the stripping away, what follows that, James?
The ordeal. So finally, people keep going down the rabbit hole of what's threatening their psyche, basically. What is it about? What's the demon, right? And the stripping process, they're processes. What's at risk? That's a cost benefit to every decision and everything you do. Accountability. Do you recognize that anything you do puts into motion an end result, and you're accountable for that, the impact of that, whether you intended it or not, because you put it into motion. All there's step down processes like that. Finally, they get to the real demon inside of them. I can't do this. I'm stupid. Well, who told you were stupid? And there's enough trust now to do some kind of regression, but conscious, aware aggression, where they figure out where they were told they were stupid and the impact it had on them. And when they dismantle that, then they go on the hero's journey of reclaiming their smartness, right? And when they reclaim it, we just honor them in that reclaiming. And their smartness is always a brilliant strategy around navigating them thinking they're dumb.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that conversation. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about it, what your own therapeutic experience is. Would you be interested in participating in work like this? Because that's what I want to do. I want to create retreats and situations where we can come together and go deep with one another, create a class of shamanic, wise elders so that we can help each other, heal one another, get over the trauma of being bugged by a system that wants to ghost us into insanity. So, yeah, hit me up in the comments below. Tell me, am I going crazy? You tell me. I'm appearing live all over England. There's a link in the description so you can come and see me there. If you enjoyed this video, have a look at this cheeky little guy. If you want to learn more meditation techniques, check this out from my Awakening side channel where you are now. Please subscribe to it, by the way, and consider signing up for Luminary, where loads of my good content is. And sign up to my mailing list so I can communicate with you directly all the time. We can start putting some of these events together. Stay free.